Hey, it's Nicole and welcome back to another video. If you don't know me yet, then my name's Nicole and I make videos about surfing and Volkswagen buses, one of which that I live out of and restored over 3 years. And I'm traveling the US making vlogs about that. And then I also do a surf stories series that I do weekly on different people in the surf creative space. Surfers, surf industry folks, community members, just cool folks that I run across and kind of tell their stories and all sorts of fun videos. I really love making videos and telling stories and finding cool things to film because I want to continue to get better at filmmaking, and so this is a cool way to do so. Anyhow, today we are going over 10 different photography tips, particularly pertaining to shooting at either sunrise or sunset, talking about golden hour photography, things that I found out after a while and things that might be able to help you get those shots that you really wanted to get a little bit faster and a little bit better. So the first thing is to evaluate the area that you want to shoot in. So look around and figure out, okay, is this area surrounded by buildings, or is it near a mountain? Is it near any sort of obstruction or thing that might cause sunset to come earlier or later, so that you can equate that into your time to make sure that you're there. When you are shooting, don't be afraid to move around and shoot from different angles. When I'm looking to get a shot, I like to test it from different angles before I settle on like what I actually want to take. So I like to look and say, okay, the sun's here, so if I move here, what does this look like, and kind of position around the sun and see what works good. So the third thing is play around with sunbeams and the sun itself, the way that it can backlight a person, the way that you can use it to brighten up the face of a person for doing portraiture versus having it directly into the sun where you can get some really cool silhouettes. Drop your ISO, but so that you don't get grainy shots, because no one likes having grainy sunset or sunrise shots. But you can drop your ISO so that you can keep your f-stop high, like between 16 and 22. Then as it gets darker, you're gonna wanna have to raise your ISO so that the shots don't lose the color, so that you can still get good shots. But just keep in mind so your f-stop doesn't go too low so that you get good photos that you're happy with. Arrive a bit early, so if you know that sunrise is at like 6 p.m. sunrise is at 6 a.m., then I would personally like to get there at either 5 or 5:30, depending on what time you like to get there. You can adjust accordingly, but half an hour to an hour to make sure that you are set up. The best colors that I find when I'm doing photography is either before or after the sunrise or sunset. So that pre-morning glow is usually my favorite. So I like to get up even well before sunrise just to be able to get those shots. Obviously that's something that you decide if it's worth it for you or not, but I think the colors during that time are really prime, and you definitely really want to get on it if you want those really like intense colors coming from the sky naturally. Chat with your model or whoever you're shooting, or go ahead and get your props together and kind of have a game plan of, okay, so I want this shot to be in this sort of lighting and that sort of lighting, kind of settle out. You could even write this out if it helps you, just kind of a mental game plan of like what shots you want to take during this time, because golden hour doesn't just stick around for hours and hours. It's like sometimes a really limited time frame for a certain type of shot. So if you have certain shots in mind that you're like, oh, I really want to take a shot that looks like this, make sure you prioritize it so that you're taking it in the exact moment that you want to be taking it. And it's be like, okay, during this time when the sun is coming up exactly, I want to have this person standing here with this surfboard type thing. Like have that in mind and kind of keep a time check for yourself. And also having that game plan really puts the model or whoever you're working with at ease, because they're able to know that you know what you're doing, and that just makes them more comfortable because you can get better shots. Check the weather. So see if it's going to be cloudy, if you kind of want that moody portraiture, or if it's going to be sunny and you're going to have lots of vibrant colors. See like what you're going to do and plan for that. Another thing is if you're shooting at the beach, like what I'm showing B-roll of now, then you would want to check the tides and see if you want like low tide. If there's like a jetty you can have someone walk out on. Just different things so you can figure out an area that's not as crowded, so you don't have people staring at you, that sort of thing, so that you can be comfortable during the whole shoot. Another mistake that a lot of people make is they just use the auto white balance and they think like, oh, like auto, it'll take care of it for me. But honestly, if you do that, you end up with a flat image. And you don't want a flat image, especially if you're doing sunrise. Like, you're not gonna have those intense, beautiful colors that you're actually seeing. And then you're just gonna be disappointed. And to save you that disappointment, go ahead and change your settings before you get to the beach. So go ahead and, for white balance, I'll tell you to go ahead and set it to, honestly, I would just set it to daylight, because daylight's gonna give you those nice colors, like those nice warm tones, without adjusting them to make them shallower, if that makes sense. So the next two things are tripod and ND filters. If you have an ND filter, you know what a difference it makes. The thing that I really like is that the neutral density, what it does is, like, you know when the sky is like these beautiful magnificent colors and then you focus on the subject, like this model, and then it like drains out the colors in the sky? Well, we don't want that if we want a really epic photo. So what you're gonna do is you just use your ND filter, and then it basically causes like that little gradient so that the sky can be the beautiful colors and your model can also be beautiful colors. So it gives you the best of both worlds. If you don't have that and you're like, Nicole, I can't afford that right now, that's totally cool. What I would recommend is that you then take 2 shots. So one, expose the sky properly for how you want it to look. And then the second is you go in and expose the model or whatever the subject of your photo is, or the foreground if you're just doing landscape. That way you get the shots that you want. And then you can combine them later and press them into one image. So the last 2 tips are set for motion. Like, go ahead and use motion. So if you have certain things that you want the model to do, like instruct the model, be like, okay, I'm going through this scene, like pretend you're doing this, or like let's chat about this, and just like get them to kind of go at ease. A lot of times what I like to do is, if I want to bring out like someone's eyes, or I want to bring out their laugh or their jawline or something, then I make sure to tell them like, okay, so we're going to try and do this. So what I recommend for relaxing the jawline is have the model just go ahead and take a nice deep breath and then release, but release it through your lips just slightly, like that, and it'll relax the jawline. Otherwise it can get stiff, especially after you take a couple photos, or like what I'll have models sometimes do as well. They just kind of like shake it out, get a little bit goofy, and sometimes you get some laughs out of that, but also it just like releases like that tension that builds up in like your neck and your muscles and everything, and that way you get better shots. You want more natural, like non-posed looks. So I like to incorporate a lot of motion. I like to have a lot of like hair tosses and movement. It just really brings out kind of this flow and gives interest to the subject and everything in your photo. It kind of makes it more lively in a sense because you're actually having motion. The final tip that I will give you is make sure that you know your camera settings. Go in and find out what you're saving your files as. If you're just saving them as regular JPEGs and your camera can give you RAW, you're kind of missing out on the whole capacity of these beautiful images. So I highly recommend you either set your camera to the highest quality that you have available, or you go and shoot RAW files, because you're really going to notice a difference in your photography if you use these tips and you use those RAW files. You're going to see such a difference in the colors and the ability to bring out these colors in your files to the way that you see them. And it's just going to be surreal seeing your photos. Again, if these tips help you, please give it a like and let me know. I'm really curious to know if you want to see more photography related videos and what you'd like to see more of in general. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers and all the best, and stay well.